welcome to a brand new episode of the Woolly Thistle Shopcast. It's time to be back with Maggie. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling much better. This cold kicked my butt.
It did. I've never seen you look so close to death.
I know. And you saw me when I was looking a little better.
Oh my gosh. No color, eyes sunken. I mean, not to go on about how bad you look.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad. And it was a cold. I was testing negative the whole time.
Yeah.
And you can hear I'm still a little.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doing that.
I'm over it too, but I still feel like there's a little bit of residual.
Stuffy. My son had it too, and even this weekend, he was still blowing his nose. Yeah. And I'm like, this does not.
It was a really bad cold. I think it was a. Oh, I don't know about you, but
it was a cold. It wasn't the flu. Like thinking of flu-like symptoms, I never had high fever or body aches. There was no vomiting. There was none of that. It was really just a lot of head congestion.
And sounded. Your voice was gone.
I never lost my voice. That was so.
It was so hard on her.
It was so hard. And I know you're not supposed to talk through it. No, I did.
No, you were still trying,
pushing through.
Yeah.
But feeling much better.
Good.
So
looking wonderful.
I want to say too, thank you to anybody who DM'd me or sent a message with all the well wishes. Yeah. Never have so many people known that I've had a cold before.
It's this whole new world, right?
It is. It's a little weird, but it was so nice to. It was so nice to have people reach out and wish me well. I'm feeling much better.
And Grady did a great job.
She did a great job. I got to say too, I had a moment on Sunday morning where I woke up and I was like, there's no way I'm recording tomorrow.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, Grady. Grady. I'm like, shit, because she's such a natural.
She is. She's so relaxed.
Pops right down and is like, film me.
Yeah.
And
a great co-host.
Yeah, does a fantastic job.
Yeah. She let me talk a little bit more than you do.
I just pipe in.
I know. I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, she was great, and I think she should come back on the show any old time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So she got lots of lovely comments. We got loads of comments as usual on the last episode. Thanks so much for watching and leaving great comments. Really is a mood booster when you're not feeling too well to read those. So that's great. And just thanks for being here today. So glad to have you back, though.
It's so nice to be back.
Shall we just segue right into this beautiful sweater?
Yes, I think we should.
Go ahead.
This is my FO.
Yeah.
I finished my Hirne Cardigan by Kate Davies. It is from her Sark collection.
It is gorgeous. It's woolly. It looks expensive.
And it really wasn't. I knit it in Rauma Strikkegarn,
which we love.
Which is just a wonderful workhorse. I think it took me, I knit the 36-inch size, and I think it took me maybe 10 balls.
Wow.
Which is really not bad at all. And yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, it fits perfectly.
She has you do a button band with an I-cord.
Show them, because that is so beautiful.
And it's such a nice finishing detail. And I put clasps on mine.
Yes, I love that.
And I love it. I did do
Is there any shaping in the bottom?
There's not.
Yeah.
I will say,
I like that.
First of all, it fits. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Quite cozy, very comfortable, fits great in the upper body.
Yeah.
I'm just happy it fits. I didn't have to rip it out. It is steeked. So
good.
I can show you too the steek. I started felting it.
Show them up close. You did the needle felting?
I started needle felting it, and then I was like, this is for the birds. And I was impatient.
Is it taking too long?
Yeah, I was just getting impatient.
So what did you do?
So I just took scissors to it.
And you didn't reinforce it.
I didn't reinforce it. I'm like, it's
the woolly wool.
So I went
for steeking.
I went slow, and I'm like, if it starts to look like it's
all of a sudden
having an issue, then I'll.
Did it have an issue though?
It didn't. It's just laying there, and it's
so proud. So proud of you.
It lays nicely, and
it's true. If you use the right wool for steeking, and that means non-superwash, woolen spun is really good for it usually. Yeah. And those woolly fibers, you really don't need to. So Jamieson & Smith, Rauma.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially it's a 9, she has you do a 9-stitch steek.
So you got loads of room.
So there was lots of room.
And don't forget that when you cut your knitting, stitches don't want to unravel that way. They go up and down. When you drop a stitch in the woolly thistle wool,
it just hangs there.
Our wool just hangs there. But even when you are knitting with something very shiny, it'll drop down. It's not unraveling sideways.
Right.
So it's an unfounded fear in a lot of ways.
So I've been wearing it the past few days. It's just lovely.
Yes.
It's so
really
cozy.
is.
It's so warm. It feels just wonderful.
Yes. So we had those record low temps this weekend. So you were wearing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Irene and I woke up, and on Saturday we put on a movie, and I put the clasps on, and it was dry, so I'm like, I'm wearing this.
What did you use to put it on?
I just used thread.
Just thread,
a little bit, and not even a ton of it.
And just secured it?
Just secured them. They've got 3 holes, so you've got one there, and then 2.
Perfect.
So I'll show you. There's a hole there, and then
that.
2 there, and so it's nice and secure. I tried to make sure they were even.
Yeah. No buttonholes to mess with, though.
No buttonholes. Nice. So she does have you in the pattern. There actually are buttonholes here, but they're so tiny. So I either did them wrong, which is completely possible. But they're like these little tiny.
Oh, and they're right on the edge of the I-cord.
Which I think would be lovely. Her buttons are really big in the book.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe I did something wrong. But either way, I like the.
You're a tight knitter too.
I guess. I don't know.
You had to go down on needles? Size or 3?
Yeah, or 3. So in the book, she gets gauge, which is 22 stitches over 4 inches. She gets gauge on a size 6. It took me a size 3.
You're a tight knitter, I think.
She's a very loose knitter. One or the other.
I can never remember really how that works. But anyway.
Either way, I swatched till I got gauge.
Yay! And you kept the same gauge throughout. Did you check?
I did periodically check. The only fun thing I did with this sweater is, and I'll share my little stupidity with you. There's really no other word for it. So Kate, being British, Scottish,
English actually, living in Scotland.
Right, she's not from the U.S.
Right.
She put centimeters first on the pattern.
Oh no!
So as I'm reading, I'm like, oh, knit to 20, and thinking
I've done
inches.
That before.
So when I first finished the sweater, it was past. Well,
it was
not even tall enough. It was a tunic. It was past my bum, and I was like, oh.
You must have been
fine.
You must have been so happy knitting.
I was just happily just going round and round.
Right.
And it was before I got sick, so I can't even blame it on like brain fog. It fit. It would have been okay if I wanted a longer cardigan.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's not exactly what I wanted. So I just ran my needle through and cut past the ribbing.
Okay.
And ripped it back and then reknit the ribbing.
Okay.
And it was fine.
Yeah.
But
you're so clever.
And I knew to do it. I'm like, well, if I'm going to change it, I'm doing it before I steek.
Yeah.
So
did you continue the steek stitches down into the waistband?
Yeah, she has you start right because it's knit bottom up, and she has you start right away with you've got ribbing and the steek.
And it's not too thick. No, it's not.
No.
Because because you've got those many stitches on the steek, it's lying back.
Yeah.
Typically, I have just knit back and forth on the waistband so that you don't end up with steek stitches on. Yeah.
I've got some ends to weave in on the inside.
Yeah.
But I'm lazy and I won't.
They'll felt.
That's fine.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying it. Now I'm at that point where I'm like, ooh, what's the next sweater?
Well, you knit with Strikkegarn again?
I mean, the nice thing about Strikkegarn now is that I know if I use size 3 needles, and if I knit it fairly soon, I'm going to get the same gauge. So it's
that is brilliant.
Right, because all the sweaters in the book are knit at the same gauge.
So yes.
So I can really just
Marie Wallin does that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you yes. Don't lose that information, because if you're going to knit from that designer again, you may well already have swatched previously, which is fantastic. Good for you.
And I know over time your gauge can change, but I figure if I cast on fairly soon, I should be just fine.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
good.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, we have a very full episode today, don't we?
We do.
So full. I'm having a wee flash. A power surge.
Surge.
God,
and
so
you're
I've been running around.
I'm wearing power surge.
Yes, I am wearing Let Love Please. So I'm wearing my new design, which the test knitters are now testing and putting me through my paces, I will add.
Okay.
Yes, there was a couple of mistakes already, which is why we test.
This is why we test. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so they're all chomping away on that, which is good.
Wonderful.
Yes, and this will be coming out, Maggie,
mid-March.
So yeah, as soon as they're done.
Yeah.
All right, where to go? Let's start with the winner.
Let's start with the winner.
Hooray!
So first winner of a $25 gift card to the Woolly Thistle, is Joanne Mosley. And Joanne said, another wonderful episode. I hope you're doing well soon, Maggie. Yes, I But it was also lovely to see Grady's smiling face. You did a great job. Corinne, I love your new hat design, and I'm now tempted to join in the accessory cow with that project. Yes, please join us.
Please do.
So Joanne, if you can email us at info@thewoollythistle, put prize winner in all caps, we will get you your $25 gift card, and you can get started on your hat.
That's right. That's right. I'm not warm enough, so I'm going to put this hat on. How's that?
It's beautiful.
It's got corrugated rib, and it's got lovely flowers, and I spent ages trying to make sure the flowers worked as the decreases happened. And
nice. And they do.
I figured it out. Yeah, I figured it out.
So,
okay, well, congratulations, Joanne.
Yeah. If you're new here, our Colorwork KAL starts next week on the 17th, next Friday.
Yes.
So you still have time to jump in, figure out what you'd like to knit. Everybody who's signing up for the Colorwork KAL receives a free PDF download of Corinne's new Flowers of Fortrose hat.
Yep.
She knit hers in Jameson and Smith 2-ply, and we do have kits in the shop if you're looking for a nice, easy.
Yes, we have colors. We have those colors, and then we've got about 3 other colors. A couple of them I really want to knit, so I think I'll be casting on another one. It's a very comfy little hat.
And you can join. Grady and I will be live in the Facebook group next Friday at 12:30.
As we cast on.
Oh,
fun!
I still don't know what I'm knitting.
Well, you're spoiled for choice. You can get a little bit,
I am.
stuck on choosing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But we know that you're all knitting along with us because you're joining up for the KAL. Thank you for that. Make sure you do that.
Yeah.
When you do, you get the free pattern. And Maggie, what did we do for people that had signed up previously to the pattern?
We emailed them a copy, so you should have received a copy
for free.
If you had already signed up before we rolled out the free hat pattern.
Yeah, and if you're not knitting along with us and you want to buy the kit, the pattern comes in the kit. So either way, you're getting the pattern, which is really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are we?
I think this is a very packed episode.
It really is.
Lots of good things for you. We have a segment from Caitlin. We have a segment from Rachel on Fair Isle.
Yes.
We have a new Thistler community video.
It is so good.
It is so good.
And so let's just put a pitch in. If you want to be on the Woolly Thistle Shopcast, send us a 2 to 5 minute video.
There's actually, you can go to our website and there is a form that you can submit. And
wonderful.
I know, you just fill out all the information and we will get back to you.
Yes, that sounds really good. We want to see and hear from you, so definitely do that. That's right on the website.
Yep.
Probably in the Connect tab. Okay, good.
Yep.
I love it. So this is where you're very systematic and you're organized, as is the team, and I just kind of run in like, just send us stuff.
I mean, you can certainly send us an email. What will happen is Grady will politely send you that link. So, because now we do have a system.
Well, now we do have a system.
Yeah, initially we wanted to make sure that you were all interested in joining us.
Yes.
And you are, and you're all fantastic and wonderful, and we love seeing your work.
We really do. And we can't knit enough to,
So we're gonna share some work with you, like, momentarily. But the other thing we have in this episode is a new interview with Marie Wallin.
Yes. So jam-packed.
Jam-packed.
I just spoke with Marie last week and we recorded our conversation. It's always good to catch up with her. She has her brand new collection coming out. It's gorgeous. Yeah. She shows us everything.
By the time this airs, that new collection's live.
Right. So we'll give you all the details about that, but stay tuned. This is a great episode. Caitlin does it. Caitlin's wearing her FO.
I know.
It's lovely.
I know. So I think we got to just jump in. I actually think that we've gone through what I'm wearing. We've gone through what you're wearing.
Jiminy.
I think that we need to just jump right in and go to Krista B, who is our Thistle community member contribution.
Yes.
Because as much as I love my Strikkegarn sweater, she's got some Strikkegarn sweaters for you
and
too.
Tukuwool DK, which is gorgeous. So let's spirit away and we'll see you on the other side.
Hi. My name is Krista. I am from Wisconsin in the U.S. and I am here to talk with you for a few minutes on the day after Christmas to give you a little snippet of my knitting world. So I'm going to talk to you about this sweater that I have knit more than once. This is, I got the pattern here. Pretty sure it's pronounced Mariechen, not quite sure, but the pattern designer is Isabell Kraemer, which I am sure many people, if not all of you, are already familiar with her. She does beautiful design work. This was printed in 2019. Anyway, this sweater I knit in Rauma Strikkegarn. It's a DK weight. I absolutely love all of the details of the front panel with this little cable here, with this panel here and another little cable here. This side is a double seed stitch. The back is just straight stockinette. This pattern is knit top down, but not in the round with a steek. It is knit back and forth. The raglan shaping on the sleeves goes till you separate for the sleeves, and then you pick up the sleeve stitches and knit those separately. I love Rauma. Strikkegarn is like I said before, a DK weight. Here is, well, I want to say millions, but not millions, an awful lot of color choices that Rauma has that this sweater, I think is why it's so nice to have many different sweaters of this in different colors, because it's just such a fun sweater to knit and it's such a fun sweater to wear that if you have other colors, you can use it in your wardrobe in many places. The other sweater that I knit, same pattern. This one is knit in Tukuwool. Tukuwool has also a fingering weight and a DK weight, but again, I used the DK weight for this pattern. I love Tukuwool. I don't know if I like Tukuwool better or if I like Rauma better. They're both beautiful yarns to knit with. They have great stiff stitch definition. They wash up beautifully. They bloom beautifully. This particular one I knit this fall. Probably chose this color because it reminds me of fall leaves, pumpkins. It's a very fall color. This is H21 Repo. Love this color. Oh, and by the way, this one is 103, Rauma 103, if you wanted to know the color option for these two sweaters. This one took me about 6 weeks to knit. I knit one for my sister and another Rauma that took about 4 weeks to knit. And then this one, as I get more proficient at the pattern and more intuitive in the pattern, this one took me 3 weeks. But I also did just another little thing I've started here this year. I'm just going to show you quick. This little knitting journal where I'm writing out some of the more idiosyncrasies of some of the patterns. So for instance, I put my swatch here. I put a little, the ball band here, write down what size needle I'm using. This one I used a size 4 needle. This one I used a size 6 needle to get gauge. But anyway, when I write out a pattern, especially with a raglan, and I'm doing increases sometimes on the sleeve side, sometimes on the back, sometimes on the neck, if I have it all written out and I can just look row 5, row 7, row 9, and I see where I have to do the increase, it's a lot easier than trying to read all the words in the pattern. When I wrote this all out, sure, this took some time, but it was so much quicker when it came to actually knitting the garment. So I think that's why this one went so much quicker. And more notes for myself from the pattern. Let's see, what else could I tell you about this pattern yarn? Oh, the buttons. That was the last little thing I wanted to tell you about. So picking the buttons on any kind of sweater makes it so much more, it adds that last little finishing touch. For some reason, I thought this color looked great with these metal buttons. This color somehow just looked good with the wooden buttons. So you can leave it buttoned, unbuttoned. I tend to wear a blouse underneath these sweaters. Anyway, hopefully you'll take some notes from me and decide for yourself to make a merchant by Isabell Kraemer and get some wonderful wool from the Woolly Thistle. It's a great pattern to knit. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed Krista's segment. I don't know how you wouldn't have. Her sweaters are absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful knitting.
Yeah. That Isabell Kraemer sweater
I
that
know.
she knit.
On the queue now.
I'd seen that somewhere else. That I think it's the Mariechen. So pretty.
Yeah, it's
So
really
pretty.
lovely, and she's knitted it beautifully and did a great job. Thank you for your submission. It's great to share your knitting with everyone, and thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you working on right now? What are you knitting?
Well, I did just finish the hat, and then I'm still plodding away here on my Agatha socks in Rambler, Woolly Thistle Rambler. So this is not blocked yet.
That's okay.
It was so cold over the weekend, and my house could not keep up with the temps. When I got up, it was minus 20 degrees on the thermometer outside, and my house only got up to like 44, 45. So I snuggled up in bed, and that was nice and warm because I got an electric blanket, but I couldn't do anything with my fingers. It was just too cold, too long. And it was like that for about, day and a half. Yeah, so by yesterday I was back in knitting. So I am on my second sock, almost just charging down the foot now. And I'm almost at the point where I don't need to look at the pattern for this because I've knit so many.
Yeah.
Really enjoy my Agathas. And yeah, so that's what I'm knitting on. And Rambler's coming back soon.
Rambler is coming back. They're working on it's at the last bit of it is at the dye house right now.
Yeah.
And we expect it back, and we'll be able to restock next month.
Right. Next month.
In March.
So that is coming along. These should be finished by then. And
yeah, I'm excited to see this second batch.
yes. Only the second batch. It's still very new to us.
Yeah.
And we're going to do kits for Agatha.
We're going to do kits for Agatha because you've been putting a little course together.
I have. I did. Yes. Yes. So if, because I always said this is an adventurous beginner's sock. But it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of hand holding because you are changing stitch counts in here, which can be confusing. You are jogging your beginning of round marker sometimes. And
I think that was the first pattern I ever knit that had me do that, and I was like, you want me to what?
Well, what? This is the first pattern I ever did, wrote or came up with, and
it's so fitting.
it wasn't an easy one. I don't know how I did it really.
It's bold.
But it's very bold. Yes, like me.
Bold. I love it.
Yeah, so that's what I've been knitting on.
Here, you want to hold that? I'll show you what I've been knitting on.
Nice
like this.
bag,
I have my Woolly Thistle fan bag.
That's a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
Collector's
I like it. It has a zipper. It keeps the cats out. I've been working on my tapestry cowl.
It's so pretty.
I had thought I would spend January working through whips, but I was wrong. I finished a sweater and I got sick, and that was it.
Yeah.
So
not bad though.
Not bad
when
though.
You started it.
Could have been worse.
Yeah.
So I started this last Colorwork cowl.
So you're gonna finish it?
So my goal now, especially now, I can wear it.
Yeah.
So I really want to wear it.
It's so pretty.
I'm knitting it in Jameson and Smith.
Yeah.
I'm using a cone of 81.
Yeah.
Which is the dark
black,
gray.
Yeah.
And then FC 51.
Yep.
Is that right?
Or 50. I'm not sure. 50 or 51.
Lovely little light purple.
Yeah. It's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. So I've been working on that. So you can see over the weekend I had a progress keeper in.
Nice.
It did make nice progress.
Yeah.
So I couldn't work on this. So I got to tell you what I did this weekend.
What'd you do?
My son's friends wanted to learn to knit.
How wonderful.
So my son is a senior in high school.
How wonderful.
17, and he declared that one of his longtime friends, Carson, said, I want to learn to knit. I'm coming to your house. Can your mom teach me? And of course, I'm like, yes, please.
Yes.
So I'm like, am I supplying all the things? And they're like, well, yeah. So
good thing you were
it was him and two friends, and I pulled out my straight needles, which I haven't used in years now, but I keep because they look pretty in a jar, and you never know. So I set them up, and they were there for hours on Saturday knitting.
Really?
Hours. Like they got there at noon, and they were knitting till at least 3 o'clock.
Wow.
3:30.
So what did you do? What did you start them on?
I started them on. Carson said, "Let's start with the scarf," which
bless his heart,
sounds torturous to me. But it gave them a good, and I figured even if they just abandon ship once they've got it, that's fine. So yeah, it was really good.
Fantastic.
I gave them all needles and got them all going, and I knit continental, but I started them throwing.
Oh, really?
Because they could not seem to hold the yarn in their left hand. So I'm like, let's just do this.
Yeah.
And what was great was so Sam and his friend Carson are both on the track team, and they had a meet on Friday, and they take a bus. They had to go. It was like over an hour drive. So when Sam got home, I'm like, did your friend bring his knitting? And he had. He said it had grown since the previous night. So he went home and he kept on knitting.
He's into it.
And he even said, he's like, I want to knit a hat, so I'll be back.
Oh, wonderful.
And I said, you come back anytime.
Oh, that's so great. Totally knitworthy as well.
Totally knitworthy. And I started him with wool. I started him with worsted weight. So it was funny because his needle fell out and his stitches just sat there. And I'm like, see? I'm like, I need you to know that this is because it's wool.
Yeah.
Like, that they weren't sliding, they weren't slipping. It was a worsted weight.
Oh, start as you mean to go on. That's brilliant. Good for you.
It was funny too, though, because he was like, I was asking all kinds of questions about like, well, who's the best knitter? And what are the hardest things? And I'm like, it's not really a competitive sport. And then he's looking at Sam's knitting and he's like, his stitches are so even. How are his stitches so even? It was absolutely great. So I told Sam, I'm like, you actually should make it competitive because my son's stitches, everything was so even. It was
really
just crazy.
Has he ever knit before?
He knit once, like maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
He didn't get very far, and then he just kind of lost interest.
It just must be in the atmosphere in your house or something that knitting just, is good.
I guess.
The knitting is good at your house.
Irene too, she brought her knitting out because then, the peer pressure of people knitting, and she's being left out.
Yeah.
And I taught her a little while ago, and she knit like a cowl that she occasionally will wear. And then this last time I cast on a hat for her, and I had to teach her how to purl.
Yeah.
No problem.
Oh, fantastic.
Purling like a pro.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
awesome. Both my kids learned how to knit when they were very, very young. Both of them have no interest. Refused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was funny too is, as my husband's walking around, they're like, "Why isn't he knitting?" And I'm like, I've offered. He's not interested, which is okay. He was doing taxes, so I'm like, better he does taxes than I do the knitting.
Yeah.
But
I'd rather
my husband passed, and he's like, "Hey, that's your new sweater. It looks really nice." And they're like, "Wait, you made that?" I was like, "Yeah, I made that."
So much knitting and yarn appreciation over your house on the weekend.
It was really lovely.
It.
That's not a typical weekend.
Well, it should be.
It should be. It should be. So,
that's awesome.
So I didn't work on this while the boys were there because I just couldn't. I still have to pay attention to the chart.
Yeah. But you know what I like about Colorwork is when you've gone off piste.
Yes.
Pretty fast
and
because it sticks out.
I had to be careful too when I first picked it up because I was on the wrong row on the chart.
Yeah.
I am working on my shorties with these.
Right.
I love them.
And you just go round and round without magic looping.
Yeah. And you can see where I switched from like magic loop down here to the shorties that it's just smoother.
Yeah. No worries.
Like this will block out, so I'm really not worried about it.
Gorgeous.
But yeah.
Really nice.
I'm still a big advocate for the shorties. Also works my sleeves on the shorties. I have both sets now.
Oh wow.
Of shorties, and they just cruise along.
Nice.
So nice. So there we go.
God, it's so much success happening.
I know.
I wish that you have as much success as Maggie and her house.
I'm in the zone right now.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's not like every day is like that. We definitely have
there are plenty of hurdles.
days.
Yeah.
And it's all good though. All knitting.
All knitting is good knitting.
So should we go visit Caitlin now?
Yes.
Yes.
Caitlin is also crushing it.
She is crushing it, and her sweater is beautiful. So let's go visit Caitlin, and we'll see you when we come back.
Hi Thistlers, it's Caitlin. Nice to be with you again. I have a couple of finished things to show you today and some thoughts on future projects to share with you. So first I want to show you the sweater that I was working on my last Shopcast segment, which is what I'm wearing today. This is the Grærup Sweater by Camilla Vad, and I finished it, so I'm able to wear it to show you today. This is an all-over Colorwork sweater. Pullover, it is knit bottom up in a DK weight yarn, although mine is more worsted. And I used some handspun in this one. This kind of medium purple is handspun. I'll come closer so you can see the texture up here. It kind of mimics the Colorwork, which is a pretty simple motif, really. It's just kind of alternating these diamonds and the X's, but with the color shifting, it ends up looking more complicated than it was. Like I said, mine is knit in some handspun and then just some other yarns from my stash. I have lots of like single skeins or 2 skeins of different yarns, and kind of went through combing Ravelry to find patterns that use several colors so that I could combine a few of my kind of random skeins. And this is kind of what I came up with. Sometimes I have big sweater quantities of a yarn and I have a special plan for that. And sometimes the season's just not quite right to dive into those kind of special projects. This sweater was started last fall, kind of when I knew I didn't have quite enough time before starting gift knitting. So I just kind of threw some things together one night and cast on randomly. And I think it turned out really nice. I talked a bit more last time about how I combined 2 fingering weights for this kind of greenish color, because I really wanted sort of a contrasty color that I didn't have a good worsted version for. So yeah, what else to say? This is sort of a different design than I've ever done before, in that it has raglan shaping up in the yoke with the Colorwork. When I've done Colorwork sweaters before, it's been top down and circular yoke. Usually the Colorwork kind of increases as you go through the yoke in sort of a round shape. And I actually really like this raglan sort of option. The tricky thing was getting the Colorwork to look nice in the seams. There wasn't really any guidance in the pattern for how to do that. So I kind of settled into a way that worked for me. My Ravelry page will kind of go through the details of how I did that, like choosing which color needed to go where as I was decreasing. But with a round yoke sweater, sometimes I feel like almost like the sleeves are not at the right angle for my body to be comfortable in it. You know, like your most comfortable t-shirt will basically have the arms straight out to the sides, and that way you can kind of move up and down. This puts the sleeve at, I think, a little bit nicer angle than maybe a round yoke sweater would sometimes. So I'm finding it really comfortable, and besides kind of not having very much hand holding in choosing like how the Colorwork worked, on like the sleeve decreases or increases and the yoke decreases, I really enjoyed this. My next project that I showed last time is now finished as well, and have that to show you. This is just a really little baby sweater for a family member. It's the Fuss-Free Baby Cardigan by Louise Tilbrook, and it's knit in our Jagger Spun Musum Falls sock yarn. It's one of the few superwash things that we have in the shop, and I held it double for kind of more of a worsted weight, and just sewed on these cute little buttons yesterday. So this is ready to send off. I'm hoping it still fits her. This was intended to be Christmas gift, and she's grown quite a bit, so that'll be in the mail shortly. And last, I wanted to talk about a few projects that I am thinking about starting. I've been through a couple of weeks where I'm really loving the pressed flowers cardigan that I'm still working on. I don't have that to show you today. Maybe next time it'll be finished, but I'm also really anxious to start the next project. I've been really excited about all of the new patterns coming out. We also have our Colorwork accessories knit along starting shortly. It'll be a week from today as you're watching this that we'll start that. And I've been very undecided about what I want to make. I feel like every new pattern I see is really exciting, and I love thinking about what woolly thistle yarn I could use for it, but I just really haven't committed. And the same with sweaters. I see all these new sweaters and I'm really excited about possibilities and adding those to my wardrobe, but just it's been a lot of inspiration but not a lot of actual making. And I don't know if you go through those seasons too, but I think I need to get out of the inspiration and into the actual making a bit more. So whether that's just kind of casting on like I did with this project, like don't treat your stash too preciously, just cast on something, get those creative energies into an actual project. And or maybe go through some of the books that I already have where it's a bit more of a controlled environment rather than scrolling through Ravelry or social media, but just picking something from a book. That's one of my goals for this year anyway. So I'd love to hear in the comments how you handle these seasons where you're kind of restlessly wanting to cast on a million things but don't actually find yourself doing it. Have any tips for the rest of us? So I have yet to decide on my Colorwork accessory project. I'm thinking maybe something in J&S. I have a couple of cones that I've gotten recently from the Woolly Thistle in Jameson and Smith, and have lots of little colors of the 2-ply jumper weight from grab bags. So maybe I'll cast on Corinne's new hat pattern. That's really sweet. And you can always use a new hat in the kind of warm woolens bin to grab from. The other project that I'm thinking about is my next sweater. I mentioned in my kind of year-end summary that one of the first things I'd like to knit this year is the Maya cardigan. This is from the book Contrasts by Maggie KP. It's a bulky weight sweater with some twisted stitches in this front panel, and looks like a quick, fun knit and something I'd really like to have in my wardrobe. The original yarn is not something we carry. It's a is it merino? Maybe not. Rambler. Worsted weight, which is sort of variegated, held together with a Surrey alpaca lace weight to make sort of a bulky gauge. And my thought was we'd just gotten in Alafos Lopi, which is a bulky weight. So I thought that might be nice to try to mimic the gauge. It calls for 14 stitches over 4 inches and I think 18 rows. So I ordered just one skein of the Alafos Lopi to try it out, and I have that swatch to show you. So this is the Alafos Lopi in sort of a creamy color. It's almost a little bit heathery with like some lighter creams and darker creams. And I knit this swatch and washed it up, and it's really close to gauge. As I was knitting it, this is on size 8 needles, I wasn't so sure that I was liking it. It feels a bit denser than I wanted, but it actually blacked out pretty nicely. So I'm coming around to this one. But as I was knitting it and thinking, oh, I just don't know, it's kind of dense. I like the idea of something really lofty and fluffy these days. I grabbed the Let Lopi and I made a swatch in that as well. And that's here. I already had a skein of this. So this is basically half of the thickness of the Alafos Lopi, because the Alafos Lopi is essentially 2 plies of Let Lopi kind of twisted together. And this, I've knit a Let Lopi sweater at on a size 10.5 needle, my Soulbind cardigan by Mary Jane Mucklestone. So I figured on a size 8 needle I would like the fabric, but it is actually still kind of loose for what I want this sort of structured cardigan jacket to be. So anyway, it's interesting to have these side by side and to see the difference in the feel that the fabric creates. This gauge is also not anywhere close to really what I need. I think it's more like 16 or 17 stitches over 4 inches. So that this would end up making a much smaller garment than what I need, and I don't really want to do all that math to figure out how to make that yarn work. So I think I am going back to my original plan of the Alphas Lopi, and yeah, hopefully going to order the rest of the yarn that I'll need for this. And who knows, maybe next time we check in, I'll have that on the needles. So yeah, I guess one of the takeaways is it's kind of fun to audition different yarns for a pattern. Just buying a skein of something to try and swatch and try different needle sizes and see how you like the fabric. When you're thinking of substituting a yarn into a pattern, the important thing to make sure you get the garment that comes out to the size that the designer intended is to just get gauge, whether that's denser and tighter or looser and kind of gauzier than maybe the original yarn. If it's something that you like and it's going to fit in those dimensions, that's kind of the best way to tell that you'll be able to get a garment that fits you the way it was intended. And yeah, I think the halo on this Let Lopi is going to mimic the Surrey alpaca that the original has. I'll keep you posted on how that project goes. So thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Caitlin. It's always lovely to visit with you, and you're such a beautiful knitter and everything. Even the little baby knits is so cute.
I know.
That's a great use actually for the Jagger sock yarn. Really brighten baby.
I love
baby
that she
knits.
incorporated some of her handspun in her sweater.
I know, it's so special. It's like,
Too much of our handspun just gets tossed in, like, because it feels like the finished thing in many ways.
Right.
So it
Now you
just
have to
gets
knit with
put
it too.
aside.
Yeah. No, that's a good. That was beautiful. So so let's just have a quick catch up about the Colorwork KAL. It is an accessory KAL, which means small projects, which is good if you're new to Colorwork. I still see people in the comments saying they're too scared to try Colorwork.
Yeah.
So if that's you and you're really curious about it, then do it in the KAL. You can knit a hat or, anything really, just as long as it's in Colorwork, any accessory.
And overall color work.
But a hat is a really good idea because there's not too much going on in that usually.
Yeah.
And so
We do have a blog post on the website too that has some first colorwork project recommendations.
Yes.
In case you're looking for ideas.
Yes.
If none of those strike your fancy, you can always email us, and we're
Yes.
happy to provide more ideas. There
Yes.
are some good kits in the shop.
There's
too,
loads
though.
of kits, and we actually have a new section in the shop now. When you go to the shop, it says kits up top, and underneath there's beginner kits, as well as garments and accessories. So we've tried to split it out a little bit so you're not just looking at everything all together, although that's nice too.
Yeah.
But there are some beginner kits that have been identified specifically for beginners, but don't limit yourself to that. If you want to knit something else, you can do it. I'm a great believer in that.
Yeah.
So should we show the colors that we have for the flowers of Fortrose? Here, you hold on, please. So the flowers of Fortrose, like we mentioned, is this lovely wee hat. All right, so it's 4 rows of flowers ending in a little starburst at the top. It's got this lovely corrugated drip, which looks good. It's not complicated. It's just color work in your Knit 2 Purl 2s and carrying the yarn in the back. The heads, these are lovely heads, but she's got a tiny head, so I put it on mine to fill it out a little bit. But this is very comfortable, covers your ears, just your earlobes sticking out. So yeah, I'm psyched about this. So the original color?
So the original colorway is this one, and it comes with this really pretty
stitch marker.
Yep.
And it comes with a kit bag. Should we show them the kit bag?
We should show
Brand
them the
new.
kit bag. This is very exciting.
Yes. Look
So
at
the front has our logo as per usual,
oh,
and the back,
if you go out,
take your knitting.
So every kit will come that gets a kit bag. This is the new kit bag that you will get, and it's really fun.
For now, if they come with the small tote.
The small tote, yeah. There's still kits that come with larger totes. We have not changed those up.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet, but yeah, really nice.
I love it.
These are such good quality as well. It's gusseted, and it's got natural, cotton type thingy
And they
bobs.
hold a ton.
They do. They're not small. I mean, 2 or 3 sock projects probably
For sure.
in here. So anyway, you get that with your hat yarn. This colorway here is one I'm super excited about. So you get 2 balls of the base color, and then these are the contrasting colors, and you get your stitch marker.
Yep, and
Really
we do tell
juicy.
you which color to use where.
Which you can use, you know, you can take that
I
as,
really love this one.
it makes me
And
think of,
FC13 is a new shade.
Oh.
That's one of their new shades.
lovely. It's like a mallard duck or something.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just
that
really
she's
pretty.
gorgeous.
Yeah, that would be really nice knitted up.
And lastly, but not least,
This is so dang pretty. Look at these pinks and purples together. Really lovely.
Yeah.
So I need to knit this and this. And yeah, we do
get busy.
we do outline what contrast colors go to where, but if you want to change it up, you're allowed to do that. There's plenty of yarn there.
Yep.
You're not going to run out. So yeah,
Wonderful.
fun times. All right, so yeah, so the KAL starts on February. Well, it starts
It starts on the
today.
17th, so a week from today.
And then you do need to sign up.
You do need to sign up. We are asking for this KAL. You use at least 80% of yarn purchased from the Woolly Thistle at any point in time.
Right, so use your
feel free
stash
to go
yarn.
stash diving.
Yep.
And you can knit any type of accessory. I did see too that the Amy Christoffers, very talented Amy Christoffers, released her Pressed Flowers cowl.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That is a great choice. It's mosaic too, so if you're new to Colorwork, you're only ever using one
color
at a time, and the other one just kind of hangs out and waits.
Yep.
And I had a customer, I helped out an email on Friday, and I had a customer who was picking out O&P colors
Ooh.
for her Pressed Flowers KAL because it's a DK weight yarn.
That's going to be gorgeous.
And it's going to be gorgeous.
Yes.
So these are our colors. We have the Romney Merino, Oysters, and Pearls. I think the customer
Naturally
was gonna
dyed.
use these 2 colors.
Fun.
They're just so
It
pretty.
takes more than 2 colors though, doesn't it?
No, it's just a 2
It's
color
just the
cowl.
2?
Yeah, so
Oh.
you can use any 2 colors. I
Gorgeous.
think it would also be fun with making tracks if you
Yes.
have a solid.
Yes.
And
With the
yeah.
barber pulling.
Yeah, it would just be a lot of fun. So you've got the indigo and the light rose.
This is dark rose and
Merlot.
one?
That one's
Merlot.
Merlot.
very pretty together, very
Yeah.
warm.
I will say too, they are naturally dyed.
So
the
these are-
colors are
yes,
naturally
yes.
dyed, so you might get some variation in the skein.
Yeah, in the
So-
skein or from skein to skein
Mhm.
even.
Yeah.
But is this dyed?
I
that
don't
looks
think
natural.
this one's dyed. I think this one's a natural. This is the medium gray.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to mention that about some of the dyed. You can see, like on this one, you can see there's just a little tonal variation.
Which I think most knitters are used to with all the indie dyeing.
With
that
some of
goes
the
on.
Merlot skeins, we see you can see it a little bit more dramatically.
Oh yeah, like here.
Yeah.
Which is fun because when you're knitting with it, it just sort of blends across.
Yeah.
Yep, light gray and cream. These are nice.
These are nice. I forget the name of this one. It doesn't have it written on there. This one is a dyed. You can see that
It's
there's
got
a little
a reddish.
variation in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then ryegrass.
Really nice, natural. The blue is
Yeah.
indigo, of course.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think these would be wonderful for
These
the
are doing
pressed
really
flowers.
well.
They're wonderful. They're soft.
Any
But
DK
woolly.
weight. They're very woolly and soft, and yeah, held double. It's going to make that even more warm and squishy.
Yeah.
And we do have a lot more winter coming, according to the groundhog. So.
Yes, I'm not sure if I trust the groundhog.
I don't know if I do either, but just, based on the winter we're having, it's here to stay for a while.
So this year I missed. I usually annually watch Groundhog Day with Bill Murray.
oh,
Groundhog
I can't
Day.
do that.
I love that movie. That moment where he goes driving off the cliff with the groundhog, like he's just had it.
I love Bill Murray. Lost in Translation is one of my favorite
Oh, that's a
movies.
wonderful movie.
So good.
Anyway,
Yeah.
speaking of groundhogs.
Yes.
So the other thing we have coming, which will be in the shop today at noon, are the Harris Tweed Totes.
Yes.
They are back.
They are back. So this is in partnership with Studio Tolsta, who is Katrina from the island of Harris in Scotland, where Harris Tweed is made. And she is married to an Indian gentleman and has a little shop out in India where they make their designs. And we have been working with them. This is our maybe third time doing this bag, because mine was the first one.
time was years ago.
It was, and I don't think I brought mine, but
No,
I'm
but
still.
you brought your purple one.
I did. I'm still using my black one from several years ago, and it's still trucking along, and I put a ton of stuff in that.
Yeah.
Yes, so we have again the same 3 colors. Hold on. Yeah, my dog decided to love on this.
So I mean, so you use your bag.
I do.
They're wonderful. They're sturdy. They're not precious.
They're very
They'll hold up.
They'll hold up. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is the purple one.
You want me to hold it for you?
No, I got it. I think. And then you've got the one that's black on black.
Yeah.
And then we have the gray one here.
And show them that outer bag. So each bag comes with this protective outer bag. So if for some reason you're not using it and you want to keep it in your closet,
it's a dust bag. Yeah. So that, and then inside will be your bag. Yeah. This is the gray one. It's got beautiful.
I forgot to bring mine. I have mine at home. I use it. It still has my West Knit shawl in it. That's the next whip I'm gonna get to.
And so it does have the Harris Tweed Authority label, and you can only do that when it's authentic Harris Tweed, which is great. Zipper top. And inside it is
magnetic closures.
Yep, and Studio Tulsa and the Woolly Thistle, lovely, label inside. There's pockets. One has a zip, one does not. And really, I mean, I use my black one like that for putting my computer in. I have a massive big MacBook thing that, well, you do too. And they're perfect for carrying that in along with all my notebooks. Usually some knitting and lunch goes in there.
It is a nice big bag.
Gigantic.
It's so well made.
Yeah, and last time we had these, we had what we thought was enough. And actually the purple one sold out first within...
It went really fast. We got more purple this time.
We got more purple. We got more of all of them.
So I have a feeling they'll still go fast, but hopefully not as fast as last time. Hopefully there's time for people who are...
To show you the size as well, you know, this is Marie's other book from before, Cumbria in here, and nice and safe and fully, and then you've got another pocket on the front as well. So you've got 2 pockets on the outside, just really, really smart.
Yeah.
And woolly, like you get to be wearing your wool in a different form, which is sort of my dream, is to just always be surrounded by wool in all their forms.
Yeah.
No sheep yet, but you know, finished projects or products.
Yeah. So these will be live in the shop at noon Eastern Standard Time.
Yes. And if you're interested, I would say hustle. Over there. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Very good.
Yeah,
so excited to have those back. We actually do have enough that maybe they will last a little bit longer, but we don't know. So
I if you really want one, I would get there.
Yeah. Treat yourself.
Yeah.
Try not to say that too often. Right. But sometimes you have to treat yourself. Okay, so what's next, Maggie?
So, let's see. I think next we should go to Rachel on Fair Isle, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about Marie Wallin's new book.
Yes, that sounds great. So let's do that. Rachel, take it away. We'll see you on the other side.
Hi, Woolly Thistlers. It's Rachel from Barkland Croft here in Fair Isle. So I'm just in the greenhouse, or the extra lamb shelter. And who've we got? We've got little Ladybird in with us. We've got Snowball. And just heading out is Rainbow Bright. And we've got Sylvia and Mrs. Ruffles, the hens. Here's a little Ladybird. She is one of Lorenzo's twins, and her brother, thank you, was Little Man, who sadly died. But on a positive note, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to, I think it's Michelle, who sent me this absolutely gorgeous hat in the post. It really was such a treat to open it. I love green. This colour is absolutely stunning, and I can just imagine the hard work and the amount of time that went into knitting it. So hats are so vital here, because it's kind of cold, wet, windy for kind of 8-9 months of the year. You can never have enough hats, and this one is perfect. It's so cheerful and will make me smile every time I wear it. So thank you so much, Michelle. I am so grateful to you. I do have one thing that I owe you all a big apology for, and that's to do with the comments on the YouTube videos. So many of you left such kind comments about Blossom when she passed away, and I read them all at the time, but I just didn't feel up to replying to them at that point. So this last week, I finally felt ready to kind of bite the bullet and go through them all again and write replies to them. And I did. I sat down and it took me most of the afternoon. And then the next day I thought I'd go back and reply to comments on my most recent video, which I did. And when I looked at the video about Blossom and the comments, none of the replies that I'd posted were visible. You can see that I've liked comments, but not a single reply seems to be up there. I don't know what I did, because it showed that it had posted them after I'd typed them out, but they're not showing now. So it may just be a glitch with my laptop. I don't know. I'm hoping that might be the case. But please know that if you did post a comment, on any of my videos, but especially the one about Blossom's passing, and it looks like I haven't replied to you, please accept that I did reply. I promise I did, and I really am grateful to you for taking the time to put a comment up. I'm so sorry, I don't know what happened, why they haven't actually posted, so I really am sorry about that, but I do thank you all for your kind comments and thoughts. In my last video, I had a couple of questions from Valerie. One of the questions was to do with the hill sheep and lambs and fleeces, and I'm going to talk about that in another video in the future. But her other question was to do with the docking of tails of the sheep that we have here, so I'll answer that now. I have two main types of sheep here on the croft. One of them is the Shetland sheep, such as Busby here. And then I have typically Texel crosses, such as Tiny Lamb here. Shetland sheep are what's called a primitive breed. They belong to the Northern European short-tailed group of sheep, and they have naturally short tails, which aren't docked. The crosses have naturally long and quite fat tails, which go right down to their hocks, so they usually are docked. The reason that we would normally dock the tails of the crosses is because sheep's tails can very easily become all clogged up and covered with poo, and the thicker and longer the tail, the more clogged up it can easily become. This then is a massive attraction to flies who lay their eggs in the poo. The eggs hatch out into maggots, and the maggots will essentially eat the sheep alive, and it can be quite difficult to spot. So it's essentially a preventative measure to stop the sheep getting this horrid fly strike. Tiny Lamb didn't get his tail docked because you can only legally do it up to the age of 7 days old, and as you can see, he was such a tiny lamb when he was born that I didn't think he was strong enough to go through with it. The way the tails are docked is we put on essentially a very tight rubber band onto their tail. It never seems to bother them, and it just cuts off the blood supply and the bottom of the tail drops off. It's important to stress that we're not removing the whole tail. They are left with a tail which will cover their bottom and private parts, as it were, so we're not completely depriving them of that natural appendage. So I really hope that answers your question, Valerie. 2023 got off to a very cold start here on the island, with about 3/4 of an inch of ice on the feed troughs that morning. We saw some very rare nacreous clouds. On another day, we experienced this incredible sunset and double rainbow. We've had gales and hail. But the main feature has been water, lots of it. The ground is just completely waterlogged everywhere, and where it's not waterlogged, it's deep mud, which isn't very good. The green that you can see isn't grass, it's moss, so it's not really anything that the sheep can eat, unfortunately. Well, this unfortunately is what the rams have to live on. It's just mud everywhere, there's no grass, there's no hard ground. Thankfully, at least they have the big garage where they have their silage and their nuts and dry straw to bed down on. And this is where I have to push the silage bales up to that very, very far fence line just to get to ground that's dry enough and firm enough to put the ring feeder on. I've even had to build a walkway for the sheep and for myself just because the mud is so deep. In parts it's coming up really up to the armpits of the lambs if they tread into the wrong bit of it. Sadly, this won't dry out anytime soon, so I'd say we probably still have another couple of months of the ground being like this or getting worse before it gets better. We also had another day of snow. And here I am trying to point out where I think the sheep are probably hiding. Of course, it always seems to be the way that I experience the worst of the weather when I'm out feeding the sheep in a morning, and as soon as I've finished doing all my outdoor chores, the clouds clear and the sun comes out. At least the dogs enjoyed zooming around in it. The cats, however, refused to come out from under their blanket and spent the entire day in there. The worst thing about the snow, though, is that when it melts, we're left with yet more water on fields that are already waterlogged. So it's going to be a long time before all this drains away enough and dries up enough that we can have some solid ground again and the grass can start growing. The last few months here have been hard for a number of reasons, and one of those reasons is financially. With having to keep so many of the sheep in and feed them extra over the winter, I'm getting through feed and silage at about double the rate that I would in a normal year. I know it's not polite to talk about finances, but just to give you a rough idea of things, it's costing me at the moment over £300 a week just to pay for feed and silage to feed the sheep. That's before feeding the other animals, feeding myself, household bills, anything like that. I don't really have that much income, and so I've been racking my brains for the last few weeks to try and think of ways that I can earn some extra income. It's hard on the island because there are no jobs. People tend to guard what jobs they have quite fiercely, so there aren't really any prospects of any income off the isle, as it were. So I'm trying to think creatively, and quite a while ago now, but Maggie and Corinne had suggested to me about doing a Patreon site, which, if you're not familiar with Patreon, it's basically a kind of a can't say the word subscription, which means you pay a certain amount each month, and depending on how much you pay, you can access things like extra videos, live chats, that kind of thing. So at first I kind of said, I don't think I'd have that much that folk would be interested in. I don't feel I have an awful lot to offer. But the more I've thought about it, the more I thought, well, maybe this might be an option for me. So I was wondering if any of you have experience of using Patreon, if you might suggest things that I could do or that I could offer if I did start a Patreon account, whether that be things like more videos with the sheep, more videos about life here, different walks around the isle, visits to the museum, that kind of thing. Anything that you might be interested in that you think would work well as part of a Patreon subscription. I'd really appreciate that. So if you want to put any comments in the comments section for this video, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I, for one, I'm so excited that Rachel's going to, or is looking into doing a Patreon.
Yeah.
Because how fascinating is her life on that?
Yeah.
In a hospitable island.
I think too, I would be ready. I would sign me up like last week, Rachel.
Yeah.
I'm excited even by the things that she mentioned.
Yes.
As potential offerings. I think many of us, and my hope is that many of us, so definitely leave her a comment.
Yes.
But I know I'm eager to see more. And,
yes.
And not much more. I mean,
yeah.
It's just such a fascinating, I love seeing how she cares for her sheep and just seeing an island that probably I may never get to.
Right.
That
is really
it's
so
just
remote.
A special way of life.
It is, and we're lucky to have Rachel doing videos for us.
Absolutely.
That's just an amazing thing that she does for us. But we want to see her, be able to make ends meet there on the island. It is very difficult, and most people do have 2 or 3 jobs, but they're all very part-time, and there's just not much of an economy there. And she does other things too, but I think making ends meet. So if we can help her, that would be so great, and just show her the love that we all have for her and what she's doing, and just looking after those sheep in such a loving and humane way. We can help her do that, which I think is very exciting.
And I think too, like a way of keeping this way of life going.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if jobs are that remote and that difficult, I would hate for that to just no longer be feasible.
And there's literally about 60 people still living on that island, and it does go down because you just can't make ends meet sometimes, or it's just really rough. She's been there for several years now, and I think obviously has just such great fortitude and willingness to put her shoulder in and really work hard. But I think if we could show her some love and maybe get whatever she decides. So put in the comments what you would like to see for your Patreon if you were to join Rachel. Of course, there's absolutely no obligation to do any of that, but we know you're going to love supporting her. That's doesn't get much closer to the land than Rachel. Yeah. And of course, she has her own beautiful yarn that comes out maybe once a year or every 2 years, because it's just so rare and precious. So we want to support you, Rachel, and we're here for you. And just let's get that done so that you have a Patreon up and running. Absolutely deserved. Yeah. So Maggie, what's in this beautiful, naturally colored basket?
So,
of gorgeous yarn.
I pulled Daughter of a Shepherd. We've not talked about Daughter of a Shepherd in a while, and one of our lovely packers here, Ruth, just showed us she's knit some socks in Drover.
Oh.
This is Denise, otherwise known as Earth Tone Girls.
Oh.
This is her One More Step sock pattern.
Fluffy and soft.
Oh, they're so lovely.
Wow.
So Ruth
Gorgeous.
knit this pattern using Drover. She knit both.
Yep.
I just have one on them.
For those of you that bought one of our boxes last year, Ruth's
The sock bag.
had but Ruth's yarn.
Yes, that's true. Was it the Taste of New England box?
Yes, I think it was. Had Ruth's yarn because she is a small farmer in Vermont.
Yeah.
She's also an anesthetist. So she's a very busy lady.
Yes.
Yes.
So she was nice enough to let us show you her socks.
Yes.
They feel amazing.
They really unbelievably, and that pattern is so cute from
Denise.
Denise.
Yes.
So there's 3 colors that Drover comes in. I don't have.
Yes, I didn't see any of the lighter color.
Okay,
at
so
the
we've got
moment.
2 colors right now. We got
Yeah.
this gorgeous dark
so this
bitter.
is the lighter color.
That is the lighter
That is
color,
the
which
lighter
we don't
color.
have right now. But we've got the dark bitter chocolate color, which
So good.
and then this lovely sort of mid gray. And these are gorgeous. So snap these up while we have them.
Yeah. And then we have a really good supply of Ram Jam. And we haven't talked about that in a while. We also have a Hap kit. I think we have the Hap kit in stock. I'm not positive.
Ram Jam, this is 4 ply, so it's fingering weight. And Ram Jam is Daughter of a Shepherd's it's a collection of wools all put together that otherwise would probably be just chopped.
Yeah, it's a nice way to sort of conserve that yarn.
And it's, again, so rustic and woolly.
I know.
So Colorwork would be great.
Yeah, if you're looking for natural shades for Colorwork, we hear that frequently.
Yeah, and it's called Ram Jam. So that is in the shop. The colorways are numbered. So this one here is color 0, which is cream.
Yeah.
And then we have number 2 and number 3.
They're just lovely. And this actually is sport weight.
Oh, it is sport weight?
It is a sport weight.
Thank you for correcting me. I was off on a 4-ply tangent.
Yeah, it was funny as you were saying. I was like, oh,
I don't think so. She's talking
it's a
rubbish.
sport weight. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Perfect weight. Nice and squishy. Very natural.
Very
smell.
natural. Good. Oh yes, good stuff. Rachel has beautiful yarn. What else do we have in the shop?
We had a restock of Old Centrum come in. So I grabbed some of them because we got some new variegated shades in. I was very excited about this. So this has I think that's a rainbow, but it has the Swedish name on it. But it's so bright and fun.
It is, and colorful,
So we used to have the Tivoli colorway, which I believe they've discontinued. So I got the one that was the closest to it.
Because it did very well, didn't it?
Yeah, and you pair this with something that's, this is very bright, but
I like that.
Yeah. I think even the green.
Yeah.
And shawl, cardigan. You got the pressed flowers cardigan that I think this would be amazing for.
That's beautiful.
I love this one.
That's so cute.
I think this one's springtime.
Isn't that lovely?
I love that. This corally pinky shade, man, that's my jam.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love this one. It's very fall looking. It's called Host. I don't know what that translates to, but
so Old Centrum is Swedish. This is a small mill in Sweden using up lots of Swedish native wool.
Yeah. And then we also got this one with lots of greens and purples. And look at all that veg matter. I love it.
We love that. Not a problem here.
So as Centrum, it's a sport weight yarn. We also added a couple colorways to our worsted weight.
Yes, we got both weights.
The worsted weight's doing really well.
That's so pretty. That's so juicy. I love it. Juicy.
Nice, juicy purple.
Yeah.
We already had this one, but you can't go wrong with that dark charcoal.
No.
Put that with this.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Gorge.
And I think that's it for
nice
the
blue.
Maybe the blue.
So
this is just a small sampling. We have lots more Old Centrum colors
very
on the shelf
reasonably
now.
priced, so it's economical. If you want to knit a garment, this would be a good choice, and it's just really good yarn.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it before. My sister recently knit her husband a sweater with the 3-ply.
The worsted weight.
The worsted weight. Yeah, sorry, I grabbed that with the worsted weight. Beautiful stitch definition, so comfortable to wear. This was the first sweater. All of a sudden, he asked for a sweater.
Wow.
So yes, okay. And he's easy to wear, and it looks amazing.
Oh, good.
She had so much yarn left over. She's knit me a sweater.
Wow. You're so lucky.
So
wow.
I should be wearing that next time.
Oh, good. Good.
So,
and I think the thing with a 3-ply is that if you're doing cables or twisted stitches, it's a very round structure and it just pops. You get that really good relief off it. So that's a good thing to keep in the back of your pocket for future.
Absolutely.
We have neons and neutrals in pre-order still.
Yeah, that doesn't release until early March. So it's on pre-order now. So you could pre-order your copy and we will get it in the mail to you right when it releases.
Yep, it's Libby Mae's second book. Her first was worsted through working with Lina. So we're happy to have that.
Yeah.
And we also have 52 Weeks of Socks Volume 2.
It's coming. It's coming. They've been showing on their Instagram that it's coming, and the preview photos for it look really, really good.
So we'll have that.
So we'll have that as soon. They also, Lina also announced that they have a children's book.
Yes.
A children's knit
that'll
be coming out too. So keep your eye out. As soon as they're available, we'll have them for pre-order.
Yep. Murat issue 4. I'm so glad they're cranking them out. That's good. So that's on pre-order. Yes, that's on pre-order.
That's on pre-order.
That is based out of Scotland, and they do a lot of crochet.
And Iredale 4-ply. That's the other thing. If you're looking for, I need longer arms. If you're looking for another Colorwork hat, we have kits in the shop for the Decrofters and for the Bonnie Isle and the Iredale colorways.
So those are both Shetland woolly hats, of course.
Yeah,
this is so lovely. Emma knitted this. Yeah.
Thank you to Emma.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to give a shout out to, we carry Radical Threads here in the shop, and I've been seeing that they are looking for different ways and different types of support on their Instagram. So if you head to their Instagram, it is a BIPOC publication that we are happy and proud to support. And I think it would be sad to see their publication no longer be available.
Right.
So whether you are a designer and you're looking for ways that you can support them with your designs, or potentially a subscriber, I think head to their Instagram and learn more information so that we can keep them publishing their wonderful magazine.
Yep. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. What else do we have? I think we need to talk about Marie Wallin.
Yeah.
Because Marie Wallin just released her new collection, which is Westmorland. So we have the book here, and we will have kits, but we're starting out with just the book. We do have all her yarn in stock, but some might be lower than others. So if you want to go a la carte, you can do that. But we're going to have kits fairly soon.
Yeah, hopefully by the end of the month or early March. So get on our newsletter and we'll let you know as soon as they're coming.
Yep, but you can start plotting and planning away. This is such a beautiful collection. And it's actually the second half of her previous collection. She made a huge collection, which she then split into two. So the first was Cumbria, which you'll remember.
Yeah.
And now Westmorland is sort of the other bookend to that. This one has 10 beautiful designs in it. 3 of them are for men, and 3 of them are accessories.
Is it similar that the men's, if you knit the smaller size, would be accommodating?
I think so, yes. I asked her that, and we're about to go watch the interview, but yes, I think that they go down to an extra small, and whatever measurement that is would probably fit a woman.
That cowl, I love that cowl.
It's so bright for her, isn't it?
It's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It uses some of her newer colors,
yeah.
the Acer and the Storm and that gold.
That gold, yeah.
This gold one.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, but I mean, look.
I love it.
Look at that.
Oh, so pretty.
So we're going to go over to my interview with her, more like a chat really. It was really great to visit and spend time with her. And she's going to show us one by one all the new designs and talk about them. So let's go and do that. Maggie, do we have anything else we want to say before we sign off?
I think that is it.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
So thank you for being here. And I think all that's left to say is, if you go out,
take your knitting.
Bye. So Marie, thanks very much for joining us today. It's really exciting to have you back on the show. And we should start a little bit with your background and history and how you became a designer in the first place. Of course, you're very well known, but there might be a few people out there who haven't heard of you yet, and I'd love to introduce them to you. So,
okay. Well, it's a real pleasure for me to join you all again today. I'll try and keep this brief because I can I can have a tendency to go on a bit. But let's see, I started to hand knit when I was about 6 or 7 years old. My mother taught me, but we were also taught at school. But I actually, throughout my education, I concentrated on the sciences, but then ended up doing textiles because I didn't do very well in my science A-level exams because I just had no interest in them. So but I had enough qualifications to get onto a textile course down in Leicestershire, so at Leicester. And so I did a degree course in textiles, specializing in knitwear, and graduated in there in 1986. Yes, oh crumbs, God, that's a long time ago.
It is, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So I didn't do any hand knitting at college at all. It was all machine knitting led. So my very, very first job was with a very small knitting manufacturer in just outside Nottingham. I was there for 18 months, and I actually left to for my own business then. But that was actually making designs, but actually making ready-to-wear garments on domestic knitting machines. A lot of them were viral patterns on them, and I used 100% wool from, I'm just trying to remember, I used to use a company called Ladle and Fairgrieve, which were up in Scotland. Used to use their yarn, and I used to go to sort of like little country shows and things, places like that, and just sell my jumpers. I was doing okay, and then gradually sort of like wanted to use nicer yarn. So that's when I first looked at Rowan yarns, really, because at that time Rowan used to do yarns for machine knitters as well as hand knitters. So they had a yarn called Silky Stones, I think it was called, and their cotton chenille, which was just lovely. And I used them on my knitting machines, and it just, you know, then the business started to grow because the garments were really lovely.
Do you still have any of them?
I do actually still have some of them. I've still got some of them on my photography and that, and it's quite interesting to look back. You know, it's still very, you can tell that it's me sort of thing. Even. So I'll be in my sort of mid 20s at this point, and I was doing quite well. I did quite a big show for me at that time at Harrogate, and I was approached by a buying agency in London, and for me to go and show them my work, and you know, to their buyers that come over and stuff, and sort of like so the big break for me was that I went down, invited me down, showed my work to this group. It was in a really old building. I can't remember where it was. I think it was in Portland Place in London. And it was this oak panelled room with this one big table in, and there was about 5 men in grey suits at the other side of it. And they just asked me to get my garments out and show them and talk about them. And they hardly said anything. I was really nervous. I had very little confidence, to be honest. I was really nervous. And I thought, oh God, this is going awful. They're hardly asking me any questions, hardly getting any feedback or any reaction if, you know, someone liked it or didn't like it or anything. And so anyway, that came out, and the girl who was looking after me came out, and she said, "I didn't go." I said, "Oh well," I was a bit upset because it was just awful, and I just thought, "Oh God, what a waste of time," sort of thing. And you know, it cost a lot to come down on the train and all this sort of business. So and she said, "Oh no, don't worry. They very, very rarely don't say very much." So he said, "It's quite normal. Don't worry. I'm sure they loved your work." And then the next day, I got this massive big order from them, which was like, and I couldn't believe it. And she phoned me up. She said, "I told you they liked your work." I really liked it. And it was a shop called, there were buyers for a shop called Paul Stewart. I think there's one in New York. Well, there was on Madison Avenue, quite a posh menswear shop.
Wow.
And then they had about 3 or 4 stores in Japan, so I had to make stuff for there. And they wanted, I think it was them that asked for some hand knits, or did I do hand knitting as well?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I can do. So I designed some hand knits, and that's when Rowan at that, because I was buying their machine knit yarn, I'd already sent me their shade cards for the hand knits. So I did some hand knits, and they were really well received. And I also was invited to do a show for the Scottish Crafts Council at the Edinburgh Festival during August, and it was right at the base of the castle and stuff.
Yeah.
That was really good, and I sold lots there. Even Jermaine Greer bought one of my hand knits. So.
Wow!
Yeah. So I know. So you
were actually knitting all these, or did you have knitters?
No, I had knitters, and I had a few ladies that did machine knitting for me, but I did a lot myself as well. I did a lot of myself.
Yeah.
But I had about I don't know, 5 or 6 hand knitters.
You'd need that. You couldn't do it all.
Yeah. No, I didn't do any of the hand knitting myself as such.
Yeah.
And I remember after I finished my bits, because I met Mark and then decided really we wanted to buy a house, and we already had a house, but we always wanted to buy a house of our own.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to have to go back to work and get a proper job sort of thing. But to be honest, it's the worst thing I ever did. I should have just carried on, basically.
Right.
I didn't. I went back. So I went back, and my first job was with a sock company, and I was doing designing men's socks. And I just thought, what is the point of this? It's just, I just couldn't. I hated it. I really hated it. And I thought, and you got so much hassle, so much grief over lots of different aspects, the production aspects of socks and stuff like that. And I just thought, well, no one ever sees them because they're under trousers, and I just couldn't get my head around it. So I left after about 7 months and went to a company that I stayed with until I joined Rowan, and that was a family-led owned company called Stuart Mensley Knitwear, which was just out in Leicestershire, so a bit north of the city of Leicester. And I was there, so I did mainly menswear then. So I was mainly a menswear designer. I was happy, and did a bit of women's wear and children's wear. I did as well. So and we made for all the major high street stores in the UK, apart from Marks and Spencer's.
Really?
So,
yeah. Wow.
So yes, the guy who owned it absolutely hated Marks and Spencer's. Which is fine by me, because they're a nightmare to work with. So so virtually every
wow.
So yeah, it was an interesting job. It was, we were obviously in a factory setting as well, so it was good fun to be in factory setting and stuff, and with all the machinery and stuff like that. And then Jim, who ran the company, became ill, and obviously at that time, so this is sort of like the early 2000s. So 2000. When did I join Rowan? 2005. So 2004, something like that. So this was being the early 2000s. Like the prices were being driven down because a lot of knitwear was being imported from the Far East and stuff like that. So the high street customers were pushing the UK prices down and down, and it got to a point where it was becoming unsustainable, basically. Yeah. And he became ill, and he just decided to call it a day.
Yeah.
So I joined forces with our salesman and 2 other people who wanted to take on some of the accounts, but I only stayed there a couple of months. I didn't really like it. So, and it was different. That was all the sampling and everything was done out in Turkey. So I wasn't really that happy about that. But it was that time I saw the advert for Rowan, for a designer for Rowan. So I applied, really, never really thought anything come from it. So I got an interview, and I thought, oh shit, I better do some hand knitting. I hadn't done any hand knitting for absolutely ages, so I had to dig my knitting. In fact, actually, I went home to borrow my mum's knitting needles because I didn't even have any. So so borrowed her knitting needles, and then I just sat down. I think I had about a week or 10 days before the interview and they wanted to have some trend boards and things like that. So I was very much used to doing trend boards and presentations from my previous job, so it wasn't a hardship for me. Right. But obviously, I needed to supplement it with some hand knit swatches and things. Yeah. So I had to knit away. So I went along to the interview. I was interviewed by Kate Buller, who obviously became my boss. So she was the senior brand manager. And then I got invited back then for a second interview, but the second interview was a week long. So I had to go for a whole week and spend time. Obviously, they needed to see if the team liked me and vice versa, and we all got on. And I met Stephen then, and he set me a project to design. Oh, well, in fact, actually, it wasn't him. It was the design manager at the time, a lady called Amanda. Was that Amanda? I think it was Amanda, and she set me a project to design a collection. I could choose two yarns, either of two yarns. One was one called Glimmer Print. I don't know if you can remember any of these.
Name alone conjures up all kinds of images.
So one was called Glimmer Print, which I just thought was absolutely horrendous. It was really horrible. It was a tape yarn with like splashes of gold on it, like as if someone had brushed gold leaf on it, and it was just horrid. And as soon as I looked at it, and both of them were not very nice, and I just said to I said, these aren't Rowan yarns, these are just horrible. She's obviously taken aback, so I could hear someone sniggering in the background because I'd said this, and I just say what I think, sort of thing. And I said, these aren't Rowan yarns, these are just horrible. What doesn't fit with the Rowan ethos. And right. I said, oh well, they're both going to go into the spring summer. I can't remember what year it was, but it was joining to, so it must have been spring summer 2005 it was going to go into. The other yarn was one called, oh god, what was the other one called? It was another Holiday it was called. It was again a tape yarn, but it was more of like a terry sort of boucle type feel to it. Wow. Again, pretty horrendous. But at least it was solid colour, and the colours were nice. Yeah. The other one was just, not only did it have gold flecks in it, the colours were really horrible as well. So obviously I chose Holiday because I had the choice too. So I spent the week just doing a small collection and stuff, and then I had to present it to Stephen, so for people who don't know, Rome was started by two guys called Stephen Sheard and Simon Cockin. When I joined the company, both were still in the business, even though the company was owned by Cotes, a very big textile company in the UK at that time. But Rome was still very, very much old Rowan at that point. There was no interference by Cotes or anything. So Stephen was still direct. Well, they were both still directors, so he was still running the company, so to speak. Simon was more on the yarn buying side and things like that. So it was so I had to present it to Stephen. He really liked it and stuff, this collection. But then obviously afterwards, after that Friday was over, Kate said to me, she said, well, we can't give you an answer yet because we've got someone else coming next week for saying things. I had to sort of wait for like a week, 10 days before I got an answer. And so anyway, they phoned me eventually and said, oh, you've got the job. So that was great. So they actually produced the Holiday. So I think there is a brochure called The Holiday. So that was my very, very first collection. But the funny thing is, the next thing, as soon as I started work there, I had to design a collection using the Glimmer Print.
That was your prize. And did you manage to do that?
Yeah, I did that as well. So that was pretty grim, really.
But I can see what the appeal is then of being independent and not working for a big
Exactly. I mean, all my design career, I've had to conform, and you work to a brief, basically, and you can't deviate from that. Rowan was better in a way because you didn't have price limitations. Obviously, when you're working in commercial knitwear industry, you're limited not to just to what type of yarn you can use for your customer, but also the length of time it takes to knit something, because it's all cost driven and everything. So sometimes your designs couldn't be that complicated because obviously it would take longer for the machine to knit the pieces, so therefore it costs more money. You don't have that restriction on the hand knitting. The restriction I had at Rowan really was basically we had to design to sort of make sure that we had designs that fitted into that appealed to everyone. So very much to the beginner knitter, someone who wants to just knit chunky yarn, someone who wants to knit fine, all the stitch designs, a bit of pattern, that type of thing. So it was very much so I couldn't, you had to sort of like design, you had to design to the market basically, to what they produce. So when I joined there, obviously I then became responsible for the magazine and the photography and putting the collections together and stuff. But obviously when I started, I hadn't got the first clue about photography shoots or putting a book together. But I mean, and I was thrown in at the deep end, so I just had to learn on the job basically.
So you sort of became the director of their
Kate came with me on the first shoot, but she didn't really help because she just sat it was a location van. She was just sat in a location van on a computer all day, so I didn't really get much help basically. The photographers helped a lot.
They know
a lot from them. And stuff. So I got used to it, and then it was really good for me because it made me a lot more assertive and a lot more confident and stuff. Because when I was younger, I wasn't that confident and things. So it forced me to tell people what I wanted and stuff like that. And and then over the years I became to really enjoy it.
Rowan?
Well, I think I joined in 2004, 2005. I can't remember, to be honest. I think it was 2005. And then but then I had my heart attack in 2014, so that's when I left. So obviously when I had that, I decided, well, that was it. But I mean, the year before that, so from 2013, I was starting to get a bit bored. The trouble is with me, if I lose interest in something, I just
can't do it.
I just don't want to do it anymore, basically. And I was starting to get bored of doing this. Another collection for it was getting quite set. And plus we were getting more and more input, or what I call interference, from coats and
corporate,
all the corporate side of it, which I absolutely hate. But Kate was very, very good. She allowed me to first of all, at that time we'd just bought our house. We didn't settle because originally we moved up to West Yorkshire, didn't really settle, so we moved back to Leicestershire because that's where my husband was from, that's where his job was, and we were renovating a house. But she allowed me to work part of the week from home, which was good, so I wasn't commuting 5 days a week. But then she also allowed me to start my own business because I wanted to start doing workshops and things. And then she allowed me to do my own self-published book as well, which was Windswept, which is the very, very first one. So and she was quite happy, and it was great. She allowed me to do that. And then when I had my heart attack, they said, well, I said, look, I can't carry on doing both things. I can't be head designer for Rowan and doing everything I do for you and do my own business. I just can't do it. So I said, I'm going to have to call it a day, sort of thing. She said, well, don't do that. What we'll do is just put you on a retainer, and she just asked me to design so many designs each year. So, so the first year would have been like about 30 designs. And then I just literally did them and handed them over. I didn't have to do anything else, which was really good.
Right. Yeah.
And then that allowed me financially to grow my own business because I had money still coming in every month.
Yeah.
So I could grow my own business. And then obviously in the retainer, the only stipulation they asked was that any yarn I used, I had to use their yarn, basically, which was not a hardship because
it's lovely.
I used a lot of belted tweed because I love belted tweed. So so that's where I was. And then as the business grew, I would reduce my retainer with Kate, with Rowan every year, and then I eventually came out of contract with them in 2017. So for 3 years I was under contract with Rowan, basically. And then the first thing I wanted to do was to design a collection using Shetland wool. Because it was harking back to my days when I had my first business, when I used a lot of Shetland wool and stuff, and I just loved Shetland wool. And so that's what I wanted to do. So I approached Jameson's of Shetland because I wanted to use a yarn which was completely made entirely in Shetland. Because obviously the other yarn isn't made on Shetland, it's made in Yorkshire. So it's Shetland wool but made in Yorkshire. So that's the Jameson and Smith one, but Jameson's of Shetland is just all made on Shetland. And they're lovely people, really lovely people, and they were thrilled that I wanted to I'm sure to do because at that point people were starting to become aware that I obviously had left Rowan and I was doing my own thing. Obviously I'd got a few books under my belt by then. So they were thrilled. And then so we photographed Shetland on Shetland, and then I launched it at Shetland. And then we launched it at Shetland Wool Weeks. That would have been Shetland Wool Week 2017, and it's probably been my best-selling book.
It was huge. We sold a lot of it.
It still sells really well. We're constantly reprinting it.
It's wonderful.
So, and it was the first book that I made the big size because I wanted to differentiate it from the Rowan books, which were a lot smaller and squarer. So I wanted a bigger book and stuff, and that's the format that I've carried on with. And then once I'd done that book, then I then met John Arbon at a show called when did I first see him? It was a show called Unravel, which is down south, and I first met him there, started talking, and then I met him again at another show called Fibre East, and then I asked him, would you be interested in developing a yarn for me? Because it was actually someone, I can't remember who, because I remember having a conversation with someone saying, I don't know whose yarn to use next, and someone said, well, why don't you make your own yarn?
I was going to ask how that came to you. So it was just a conversation. It
was a conversation, and then I thought, well, and I had already thought about it, but we lived in a small cottage. No sort of, we had a big garage in that, but I was never allowed in it because it got 2 classic cars in it. So, I had to ask permission to open the door and then go and use it for something else. So I thought, well, I've got nowhere to put it. So what do I do? So it was umming and ahhing, and then it was Richard who prints my books. I was talking to him, and so I was saying, no, I'd like to develop my own yarn, and he said, well, why don't you do it? And I said, well, the problem is I've got nowhere to store it. And he said, well, you can store it. We've got loads of storage space. We'll store it at our place. So I thought, are you sure? And all this business. And he said, well, we've actually been thinking about starting to supplement their business, going into doing other things. And one of them was like a fulfillment service. And he said, well, you can be our guinea pig.
There you go.
And that's how it started. So we developed the yarn and started to develop it with John. I was very specific what I wanted, so he was very happy because I think he's not used to people like myself, because I've got lots of experience with yarn. I've worked with yarns many years and everything, so I knew exactly what I wanted and everything. So he thought it was great because I just literally told him what I wanted. He went away, produced it. So but the very first one had alpaca in it.
Oh wow.
Yes, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, in an undyed form. But when we actually put dye onto it, it just killed it. It was just not nice, and I was a bit worried about the weight of it on it in a full garment and everything, because obviously alpaca is quite a dense, heavy fibre. So we went back to the drawing board. I said, John, we're going to have to take the alpaca out, it's not working. And it was him that suggested putting the swarbles into it, because obviously the alpaca would have been, because I wanted this grade off effect, and it was the alpaca that I wanted to keep undyed,
right?
So I needed something to do the same job, but in wool, it was him that suggested the swarbles, and you know, produced the British piece. And then obviously I got my first sample yarn, and I thought, well, I was a bit disappointed because it was quite thin and stuff, and I just thought it just needs some steam into it, because I was again, I got that experience of yarns and stuff like that. It just needed to be a lot fuller. I wanted it to look sort of squidgy on the ball and everything. So I said to John, I said, there's no reason why this couldn't be steam relaxed in any way. He said no. And then so I then approached Edward Hill, who were up in Bradford, who steam relax and finish yarns. So it gets sent now from the mill up to them. They steam relax it, and then they wind it into the balls, and that's the yarn that we get now. So,
and it's beautiful yarn. And how many colors? How many colors do you have now? Because you introduced a few more last year.
There is 28.
28.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's 28. I can't even think.
It's a lot.
Was it 26? No, it's 26. 26.
Well, 26, 28.
26. Yeah, it's 26. Yeah.
So, and the reason we're here today is to talk about your brand new collection called Westmorland. Yes. So I don't have the book yet. I think it's on its way back. But can you show us?
I got it yesterday.
Oh my gosh, hot off the press is beautiful. Yeah. And it's another book featuring both James and Georgia.
Yes.
They're married
so
now.
This is really, Cumbria and Westmorland are literally one big collection, which I designed last year. Not last year, the year before. So 2021, I designed it.
Yep.
So I designed both, and then obviously there was just too many to go into one book, so I split it into the two books.
Right.
So that's the reason. So the photography, it all sort of hangs together. So it's really like it's a part one, part two, really. Cumbria, Westmorland. And
Westmorland is part of Cumbria, is that right?
Well, it is now, yes. I mean, Westmorland was the old county name. Of it's sort of an area just on the edge of the Yorkshire Dales and Lancashire, which is now part of Cumbria. So it became part of Cumbria in the 1970s.
Right.
But it's an old county name.
Okay, so this collection is really a continuation of Cumbria, which came out last year.
It is really, because they were both shot at the same time and both designed at the same time. And
so do you want to show us? Do you have?
I can, yes. So so again, it's a mixture of men's and women's wear. So here is, the first one is called Blee, which is, I don't know if you can see it there. So it's a funnel neck sweater. So it's got beautiful side slits. So
yeah.
There.
Pretty.
Okay, and it's knitted in the round. But it's steeped. So it's all steeped. So it's even it's knitted. So you knit the bottom bit steeped here for the slits, and then it's knitted in the round for the body, and then the armholes are steeped.
Yeah.
And then the sleeves are knitted in the round.
And what about the neck? Do you steek the neck, or is that back?
No, the neck isn't knitted in the round. I think the only bit of flat knitting is just the shaping on the shoulders.
Yeah.
And then once you get to the neck point, then you put it back onto round needles and knit in the round for the neck.
It's really lovely. I love this.
I think this one's going to be a popular one because it's quite, I wouldn't say it's an easier one to do. It's got a lot of stocking stitch in it, so it gives you a bit of the break from the pattern.
Yeah.
And then the actual I mean, that's a very easy sort of motif, parallel bit there. And then, you know, that's not too bad. I mean, there's a bit of carrying your yarn across here, where you know, got to carry it across, but apart from that,
it's lovely.
It's quite a nice one to do, really.
And what's this one called?
That's called Blee, which is BLEA, which is named after a tarn in Cumbria in the Lake District. So all the names. Pardon? What's a tarn? It's a lake. It's a glacial lake.
Okay.
So all the names in Cumbria are named after places in the Lake District. So either a tarn or one of the mountains or a dale or whatever. Okay, so
that's on the cover. That's from the cover.
That's on the cover. So I'm going through them in order.
Okay.
So that's the first one in the book, and the second one in the book, which again is on the front cover, is a menswear one, which is called Helvellyn.
Yeah, lovely.
Which is this one, which is a really nice cable raglan sweater, but again, it's knitted in the round.
Yeah.
So this is knitted with two ends of the British breed yarn together.
All right. So that makes it an Aran weight, would you say?
So it's more of an Aran sort of weight. Yeah. So yeah.
Such a lovely color too. What color is this?
That's in corn cockle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So which is it's a really nice sort of. It's sort of a lavender blue, denim blue colour, really. It's got a slight lavender tinge to it. Yeah, but it's it's really nice.
This collection, as well as Cumbria, I think you have more sizes than you would have had before.
Yeah.
So does this go down quite small so that a smaller woman
goes to extra on menswear? It's extra small.
All right.
So which is part of, without me looking at the actual measurements, an extra small would be fine for a size UK size 8-10. So
that's
easily probably even less than that, to be honest. So
and then they go up size 2.
Yeah, then they go up. Yeah,
that's great.
So that's that one. And Helvellyn is one of the third biggest mountain in the Lake District. So one of the most famous ones, because it's got several routes up to the top, but the famous one, made famous by Alfred Wainwright, the famous hill walker here in the Yorkshire Dales back in the day, was called Striding Edge. I don't know if you've heard of that, but I've not done it. I'm not brave enough to do it. It's just,
really? Is it quite?
Striding Edge is like it at the top as you're going up to the top of the mountain. It's just like a footpath about. Well, it's not even a foot wide, but then you've got sheer drops either side of it. So no, I couldn't. No, so I couldn't do it. No.
I'll stay at the bottom with you.
Oh dear. So the next one in the book is another menswear one, which is a slipover.
Love that.
Yeah. So that's quite a nice, fairly easy one to do, again, because it's the main colours running all the way through it.
And it doesn't look like you're having to catch too many floats.
No, because this is it's based on more traditional motifs.
Yeah.
So the pattern repeats are quite small, so that's another reason why it's quite simpler to do.
Yeah. So knitted in the round, and then you must be sticking the
it's actually knitted flat, this.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, but because each of the repeating sections are slightly different. I mean, I suppose you could slightly redesign it to knit it in the round.
Yeah.
And you could easily, but I mean, you could stick it anyway, so it's not, if you wanted to knit it in the round. And an experienced knitter as well could be able to, if they wanted to put a crew neck onto it for a woman, or could adapt it for a woman. But because it goes to extra small anyway, a woman's size, if someone wanted to do it and wear it. So
I love the colors in that too. They're just so nice together.
Yeah. So that's a nice one. And then the next one, I think, the next little book is called Grærup.
I love that name.
So am I showing it the right way? I think so. Sorry, it's so busy pattern that it's hard to tell. Oh yeah, that's right. The back's facing me, so that's the right side. So this is an all over floral. So similar to how Primrose is, that's an all over floral. But this is on a darker base. So it's got more smaller patterning in it than Primrose has really.
Okay.
So yes, and it's slightly longer in length as well.
Are you knitting this bottom up or top down?
It's knit. I do everything bottom up. I don't do any top down.
Why is that? Is that just your preference, or is there a reason for that?
It's just my preference. I prefer to knit up.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, you couldn't. Nothing to stop you from starting from the end of the pattern and just reverse everything.
Yeah.
So, and that's in theory what you're doing. But because of the complexity of the actual design layout, the sleeves, the actual pattern in the sleeve is the same on all sizes. So if you want to make the different lengths, you either increase or decrease the stripes in there.
Gotcha. That's a good workaround. I like that.
So, and the same with the well, if you wanted it shorter or longer, then just put more stripes in there.
Yeah, that makes good sense.
But it is quite a long line one, and it is quite fitted. This one, like Primrose was. So obviously bear that in mind if you want to knit.
Primrose has been a very popular kit in our shop at the Woolly Thistle. Both versions of it, the icy color.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean, Primrose has been really popular for me.
Yeah,
so
I imagine that will be really popular.
Yes, I think it will be. Yeah,
lovely.
It's a really nice one.
Where do you get your inspiration for the different motifs from?
Oh, I get asked this, and I haven't got really a straight answer. I just love pattern, basically.
Yeah.
So do
you always see it then wherever you are? You're sort of noticing patterns that other people might not know.
Yeah. I mean, fabrics, carpets, tiles, whatever, basically. So because I mean, it's quite good now. You know, you can take good pictures with your phone and stuff. If I'm ever out and I see something, then I just take a quick picture of it. So that type of thing. So my iPhone is full of stuff like that, really, basically. But I mean, I love textiles. I love old textiles and things. I love carpets and stuff. I've got lots of books on carpets. I subscribe to a really good quarterly magazine, which is just lovely, called Hallie, which is all about Oriental carpets and textiles. Which is really lovely. And I'm a member of the V&A down in London, so I go there as well. So really.
Yeah, well, that's a great thing, though. I mean, I think it's always exciting when you see things that other people just don't even notice. And then
I think that's why a lot of my designs are a mixture of different types of design. So I very rarely do a specific fur design. I suppose Shetland was the only one that I did do specifically. Traditional fur, basically. Was everything else, since I like putting patterns together, different types. Patterns from different genres, different, and
then using the colors to sort of blend them together.
Blend them all in,
amazing. Okay, keep going. Show us what's next.
So the next one is Keswick, actually, which is what I'm wearing. There's two colours photographed in the book. There's this one, which is in Blossom, and then the other one is in Willow, which is one of my favourite out of the new colours, which is actually very similar to the colour you're wearing now.
Look at those. So it's a very British breeds. Your yarn really does pop in the cables too. So it's good for colorwork cables or twisted stitches.
But it's cables and twisted stitches, and the colour is very much like the colour of bracken, really. When it's really. Lovely colour. So again, this light Helvellyn is knitted in the round.
Okay. That's good.
So so it's actually the nice ones to knit with these sort of shaped raglan think quite like, rather than doing it as just a yoke, it's nice to emphasize to put all the shaping into the raglan rather than it being spread throughout a yoke. And I think it's quite nice, and I wear this one quite a bit, and it's quite nice and comfy and easy to wear and everything. So
good. No, it's lovely. I'm partial to a garment in the round. I have to say, I do like knitting in the round when it's a garment, just going round and round.
Yeah. What we got? The next one's a menswear one.
Oh,
every man that sees this think, oh, I really like that jumper.
Yeah, that's really something.
So this is Ben Cathra. I'll put it that side.
Thank you. Yeah, look at that color work. It's so subtle.
But this is actually quite a simple design. So it's quite a nice one to knit because the pattern is so small. It's a small repeating pattern. But it's got striping throughout, really. So there's a lot of changing of colour. Yeah, it's beautiful. But so Mark really likes this, my husband. So every man that sees it thinks it's a really nice sweater. And then it's got the stripe welts as well, which you can see there, and on the cuffs as well. And then this is knitted in the round.
In the round. That's good.
It's knitted all in the round, but with steeped armholes. Okay.
Which are not as scary as it sounds. It's not scary to steek, and your yarn is great. Do you reinforce your steeks before cutting them with this yarn?
Well, personally, how I do it, now actually my favorite method of steeking is to needle felt it.
Right.
Before that, I either crocheted or so this one's actually, I didn't knit this. One of my really good knitters knitted this, but she always, like me, uses crochet steeking. I don't know if you can see that there.
That's very nice.
So the crochet steeking gives a really nice neat edge like that. But obviously you've got to weave all your ends away from the steek. Right. Obviously it doesn't matter on an armhole, you haven't got any ends, so it's much easier to do that. But if it at the start of a round, but machine, if you've got a sewing machine, that's probably the easiest for steeking. It's just literally run a couple of lines of machine knitting either side of the center, and then you cut it. And the beauty with that is that you don't need to, if you've got a center front that you're cutting, you can then cut all your ends away with it as well. There's no need to weave those ends in. Right. So that is the simplest way.
It's really not as scary as non-stickers.
It's not. People say, oh, how can you cut your knitting? And I explain to them, well, you're not actually cutting your knitting. Right. You're cutting the extra stitches you're putting in. Right. So that's what you're cutting. You're not affecting the bit that people are going to see or you're going to see.
And I think knitting, if it's going to run, it's going to run down, not sideways. So it's just in the structure of it, it's pretty protected to be simple. And so long as you use wool that is good for steeking, I would say.
Really any 100% wool type fibre will steek very well. Obviously, it's really fibres that have got what we call sticky fibres. So if you look under a microscope, if they've got barbs on them and stuff like that, it will steek well. But a fibre like cotton and that is very, very smooth. So that wouldn't steek very well, really, because that we're in big danger of stitches running with that type of yarn. But anything like 100% wool or 100% always got alpaca in it, that type of thing, really. But 100% wool is probably the best.
I think so. And then in the back of your new book in Westmorland, you do have a section on steeking, if I recall.
There's a back at Cumbria as well. That just tells you how to do machine steeking and crochet steeking. Not the needle felting bit, but yes. So that's Glencathra, and then we've got the last garment. Is this really nice cardigan, which is again more traditionally based, which is called landing. So it's sort of like it's got two traditional motifs in it.
Yeah.
But they've sort of like been placed offset. Well, actually, it's got 3 motifs in it, but they're placed offset, and then it's just striped behind.
Beautiful.
So, and again with a deep stripe.
Yeah. Which is nice. I can see that shaping. That's
It's a really nice sort of more traditional type cardigan, really, if you like.
Yeah, beautiful, gorgeous.
But this is knitted flat.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and probably this is the one, I suppose, because the pattern repeats quite big on it. You've got to concentrate a little bit more. So it's probably the most difficult one in the book.
Okay.
But it's not.
I think
not that bad.
If you're taking on a sweater or a cardigan like this, it's going to be a labor of love, and you just pace yourself and take your time, and you get there in the end.
Yeah. The main thing is you enjoy knitting it, really.
Yeah.
So,
it's gorgeous.
And then there's 3 accessories in the book. So we've got the Easedale wrap, which is this one here, which is knitted flat. So this is based on a tail design.
Or to see that,
you can see that. So like Mariechen tiles, that type of thing. So
I love that this is a little bit more vibrant in the colors as well.
Yeah, it's using a lot of color actually, but again, it's sort of like blended color and then striping. And then it's just edged with like a garter stitch edging, but it's
that's so smart though. That looks really good.
So you can wear it as a wrap, or you can wear it as a thick scarf. And then there's the Ennerdale cowl, which is this one here.
That's really pretty.
Which is really quite a really good project for someone who's new to fur knitting. Basically.
Good.
It looks complicated, but you've got one color running all the way through.
Right.
So you're only changing color in these background stripes, and the actual design is quite simple to do.
Very nice. So
it's a really good one. It's knitted in the round, so you could make it into a scarf if you wanted to. Make it a little bit.
So pretty.
Into a cowl, And then the last ones are these little mittens. So I shall put them on.
That's what I need here today.
So the Wensley mittens.
Lovely.
So they've got instructions to either be knitted flat or in the round.
Wonderful. So pretty.
So
gorgeous.
So
you must be very happy to have this out in the world now, or coming out, because
because they've been the garments have been stuck in my drawer for well over a year. But it's nice to have it finally out. No, I'm really pleased with the book. I think it looks really nice. And
when you're launching,
so we were going to launch yesterday,
right?
But we're now delaying the launch now till next Thursday, which is the 9th.
And of course, we'll be supporting you over here in the US with kits from the book and the book itself as well. So we're thrilled to be part of that for sure. So thank you so much for sharing your new designs, and also your lovely history, hearing about how you got into this. And it seems as though you were destined to be an independent designer right from the start.
Well, exactly, right from the word start. I've never been a good employee. I'm not very good looking. The trouble is with me, I just say things as I think, as I see them. So
spade a spade. Yeah.
Well, I do. Yes, I'm not one for sort of like, sucking up to people, as we say, or anything like that. So
well, you've done really well for yourself. I think your designs just are beautiful, and definitely people love your work. And so we're excited to see this new collection come out, and of course keep in touch and see what you're doing next as well, because I'm sure you're always thinking ahead and planning for the next thing. So and you're also teaching, you do workshops.
Yes, I do. I've started up doing workshops again here, because we've obviously now moved to the Yorkshire Dales. So I do weekend workshops now. Where I used to live, I used to do day workshops, and then I used to do the occasional workshop week-long holiday, but I don't do those anymore. So because we live in the Yorkshire Dales, which is a beautiful part in the UK, I decided to do them as a weekend, so I give a chance for people to stop over and see the area and things, really, more than anything. But I do it, I hold them at a really nice mill, very old converted mill near a place called Sedbergh, which is about a half an hour drive from me here. It's still in the Yorkshire Dales, but more towards the Lake District. It's in Old Westmorland, so
cool.
That's where Sedbergh is. It's part of Cumbria, but it used to be in Westmorland, and it's a lovely, very, very small, quaint town. It's got a massive big public school there. That's what it's famous for, actually. Sedbergh School. And the mill is just outside there, and it's run by a charity, and they sell crafts there, all different sorts of crafts, but they have different artisan makers that have workshops there. So actually physically run the businesses from there, so you could go and see things being made as well. So it's a great place to look around, see things being made, buy from the actual crafts people. They have exhibitions on and stuff. So it's a really good place, and the food is amazing.
Oh, really? Do they have a restaurant right there? Wow. Yeah.
So it's really
fantastic. Good. So you're quite a powerhouse yourself there, doing all these different things, and just I think just making hand knitting really cool, and enjoying what we can do with some yarn and sticks, really.
Well, exactly.
Well, thank you for taking some time to talk to me today, and I know that customers. I'm sure everyone will enjoy hearing the story behind not just your designs, but you as well, and how you got into it. So thanks very much, and we'll see you again.
Yeah, well, I hope everyone enjoys Westmorland, enjoys knitting from it.
They will. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
See you then. Bye-bye.